Media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today's our topic is very, very important. And the topic is government hijacking Hindu temples? Before I will go to the main topic, I would like to inform you that today is the National Vaccine Day. In India, National Vaccine Day is celebrated every year on March 16th. The day is widely known as National Immunization Day. The National Vaccination Day was first observed on March 16, 1995. On this day, the first dose of oral polio vaccine was given in India. The initiative to eradicate polio from India started with the Pulse Polio campaign that was launched by the government. The importance of the vaccination in today's world cannot be overstated. Vaccines are the most effective way to prevent fatal and dangerous diseases known to man. Extensive vaccination campaigns across the world have resulted in the eradication of highly infectious and dangerous diseases like smallpox, measles, tetanus from major parts of the world. According to the World Health Organization, vaccination saves between 2 to 3 million lives per year. Now that COVID is here, the government is taking steps to ensure that the vaccine for COVID-19 reaches the people who need them. People above the age of 16 have started getting the vaccine across the country. Even people above the age of 45 who are at risk from COVID due to underlying conditions have been made privy to the vaccines. Media conference with Lal Goel wish that everyone who are eligible for COVID-19 vaccination come forward and take vaccine to save lives from this pandemic. Now coming to the main topic, is government hijacking Hindu temples? हिंदू मंदिर हैं कल्याण स्थल, यह पूजा के स्थान, ये समाज के रक्षक और विकासक, इनको हो सम्मान, पूजा में श्रद्धा का अर्पण, धन का भी होता दान, शासन सत्ता से मुक्त रहें, हो जन जीवन कल्याण. This special short poem was sent to us by our regular viewer and who also participated in a few of our media conferences, and he is Mr. Paramatma Nand Pandey Matwala. He is the president of Utho Jago Foundation. He is a journalist and a farmer. We live in times where we understand that the government should not manage airlines, airports, industry, mining, trade. But how is it that sacred temples can be managed by the government? This is first said by Mr. Jaggi Vasudev. A Hindu temple or mandir is a symbolic house, seat and body of divinity for Hindus. It is a structure designed to bring human beings and gods together using symbolism to express the ideas and beliefs of Hinduism. Thus, symbolism and structure of a Hindu temple are rooted in Vedic traditions, deploying circles and squares. It also represents recursions and equivalence of the macros as the microcosm of by astronomical numbers and by specific alignments related to the geography of the place and the presumed linkages of the deity and the patron. A temple incorporates all elements of Hindu's cosmos, presenting the good, the evil, and the human, as well as the elements of Hindu sense of cycle time and the essence of life, symbolically presenting dharma, karma, earth, moksha, and karma. The spiritual principles symbolically represented in Hindu temples are given in the ancient Sanskrit text of India, for example, Vedas and Upanishads, while their structural rules are described in various ancient Sanskrit treatises on architecture, Bharat Samhita, Vastu Shastras. The layout, the motifs, the plan, and the building process recites ancient rituals, geometrical symbolism, and reflect beliefs and values innate within various schools of Hinduism. A Hindu temple is a spiritual destination for many Hindus, as well as landmarks around which ancient art, communities, celebrations, and economic have flourished. A Hindu temple reflects a synthesis of arts, the ideals of dharma, belief, values, and the way of life cherished under Hinduism. It is a link between man, deity, and the universal Purusha in a sacred space. It represents the triple knowledge, Triyari Vidya of the Vedic vision by mapping the relationships between the cosmos, Brahman, and the cell, Pinda, by a unique plan that is based on astronomical numbers. A number of ancient Hindu texts suggest the prevalence of ideals, temples, and shrines in Indian subcontinent for thousands of years. For example, the temples of Koshala kingdom are mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana. Various recent scholars estimates for the earliest stage of the text range from the 7th to 4th centuries BCE, with later stage extending up to the 3rd century CE. The 5th century BC text, Ashtadhyayi, mentions male deity images, ideals of Agni, Indra, Varuna, Rudra, Mrada, Pusa, Surya, and Soma being worshipped, as well as the worship of akras of female goddesses such as Indrani, Varunani, Bhavani, and Prithvi. The 2nd century BC Mahabhashya of Patanjali extensively described temples of Dhanapati, deity of wealth and finance Kubera, as well as temples of Rama and Keshav, wherein the worship included dance, music, and extensive rituals. The Mahabhashya also described the rituals for Krishna, Vishnu, and Shiva. An image recovered from Mathura in North India has been dated to the 2nd century BC. Kautilya Arthashastra from 4th century BC described a city of temples, each enshrining various Vedic and Puranic deities. The wall of separation between temple and colonial state in India was achieved in 1863, when a law was enacted which said that it would no longer be lawful for any government in India or for any officer of any government in his official capacity to take over the superintendence of any land or other property belonging to a mosque, temple, or other religious establishment, to take part in the management or appropriation of any religious endowment, to nominate or appoint any trustee in a religious institution, or to be in any way concerned therewith. However, this colonial vision of secularism was rejected by India's founding fathers. After the Government of India's Act 1919, Indian legislators came to power at the provinces. Indian political leaders enacted the far-reaching Madras Hindu Religious Endowment Act 1926, which virtually took over the management and administration of Hindu temples in the province. It established boards appointed by the government. Temple trustees had to furnish accounts to and obey the instructions of the boards. Temple surplus fund could be spent by the boards themselves on any religious, educational, or charitable purposes not inconsistent with their objects. The Supreme Court has allowed governments to heavily regulate Hindu temples on the theory that the freedom of religion does not include secular matters of administration which are not essential to the religion. Sometimes the court has perhaps gone a little too far, since the line between integral religious practice and the non-essential secular activity is often hard to draw. For instance, though the government cannot interfere with the rituals and prayers at temples, it can regulate the amount that temples spend on such things. Even the appointment of priests in Hindu temples has been held to be a secular activity which the government can regulate. The purely administrative aspects of temples, such as budgeting, filling up vacancies, etc., are regulated under the Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments HR&C Act. States have their own acts. For instance, Tamil Nadu has the Tamil Nadu Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments Act 1959. Kerala's 5 Devaswam Board, which govern a majority of Hindu temples, are covered under the Travancore Cochin Hindu Religious Institutions Act 1950, Madras Hindu Religious Act and Charitable Endowment Act 1951, Guruvayur Devaswam Act 1978, and Kodal Manikyam Devaswam Act 2005. Appointments to these boards are done by Devaswam Recruitment Board, which came into being in 2015. In Andhra Pradesh, there is the Andhra Pradesh Charitable and Hindu Religious Institutions Endowment Act 1987. Karnataka and Telangana have similar laws. The Archaeological Survey of India has control of most ancient temples of archaeological importance in India. In India, day-to-day activities of a temple is managed by a temple board committee that administers its finance, management, and events. Since independence, the autonomy of individual Hindu religious denominations to manage their own affairs with respect to temples of their own denomination has been severely eroded, and the state governments have taken control of major Hindu temples. In United States, private temple management autonomy has been preserved. Article 26 of the Indian Constitution provides people of all religion with the freedom to manage their religious institutions. However, Hindus do not enjoy this freedom enshrined in the country's founding document. Various state governments, through their respective Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowment HR&C Acts, have assumed financial and management control of over 100,000 Hindu temples. Blatant discrimination against Hindu temples has troubled a lot of people, especially the ones who believe in constitutional values. The Supreme Court's verdict upholding the Shabbat rights of the Travancore royal family in the administration of Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple in Kerala has been welcomed by many, as it limits the state's role in control and management of a prominent Hindu temple. India has more than 2 million Hindu temples recorded during the 2001 census, whose numbers have substantially increased by now. As per one report, the state governments control over 4 lakh temples. And to discuss this very, very important and relevant topic, that is government hijacking Hindu temples, we have a very vibrant, elite, learned, experienced panel with us. And I would like to invite my first guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of Disaster Management, Government of India, and Central Drought Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He is also the Principal Advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. Today, Dr. Bose is traveling, but he tried, but his network is an issue. So what he has done, he has recorded his message, his opening comments, which he has sent, but he has promised me that as soon as the proper network will come, he will like to definitely join. But meanwhile, what I will do is I will be playing his recorded things, which he has recorded just now, few hours back, and sent to me. And he says he will join as soon as he will be there. So I'm playing his recording. And so welcome, Dr. Bose. And what are your views about today's topic? Is government hijacking private temples? Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
It has been a topic of wider debate among a particular section of the community, that government should completely back out of the administration of the temples. Temple administration in many states, like Kerala, has been taken over by governments. This has hurt religious sentiments of the ardent devotees among the Hindus. The question now, which seeks an answer from the government as well as the Supreme Court, is very loud and clear. Governments should keep off the administration of temples, and the temple administration should be handed over to the devotees. The reasons for this argument are plain and simple. No other community, I repeat, no other community in India has their places of worship and related institutions taken over by government. No other community in India has their vast property annexed by the government and used for non-religious purposes. The Hindu community is agitated over this. They feel that the temple and its properties are being used to harm the Hindu religion and those who practice it. The case is now for consideration before the Supreme Court of India. We sincerely wait for their judgment. But the demand for this has snowballed into a people's movement. In many parts of India, devotees throng around the temples, offering prayers and expressing solidarity for this movement. Stealthily, on the model of the Devasam boards, some state governments, because of political reasons, are also trying to take over the administration or interfere in the management, in the governance of the institutions and the churches run by the Christians and institutions of the Muslims. Like a Damocles sword, this political threat is hanging around all religions. People have become sensitive to this. In Kerala, for instance, once the idea of the church bill was mooted in public, the church fathers, the bishops and the cardinals joined together and met the political power and impressed upon them that the church will never ever allow their institutions to be taken over by government. That had its effect. Now, in the background of the Sabarimala agitation, that is when the government of the state encouraged two women to flout the rituals and beliefs and go to the Sanithanam or the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Sabarimala temple. There was deep felt hurt within the devotees. Women in thousands, women in lakhs went out of the kitchen to the streets. They lighted lamps and expressed their protest. This has snowballed into a public movement in the state. Now the demand is nothing, but government has to abolish the Devasam boards. I repeat, government has to abolish the Devasam boards, and the management, the administration, the governance of the temples should go to the devotees. Why should government interfere in the administration of the temples? In most states of India, there is state intervention in the administration of temples. The moot question which is asked by the devotees is why only the temples of one particular section of society is targeted. In Tamil Nadu and Kerala, a movement is already going on to release the temples from the clutches of the government and give it back to the devotees. In Tamil Nadu, as we understand, this movement is led by Sadhguru, who is very articulate about it. They also have got the campaign to get supporters through the Missed Call campaign, whereby You send a missed call to a particular number. The history of Devasam in Kerala can be traced back to the times of the Maharaja, when the British resident Colonel Macaulay ruled the roost. Temples were nationalized or brought under the government control in the guise of supporting many other smaller temples, which were finding it difficult to have the daily puja performed. But historians have analyzed that Colonel Macaulay faced a problem of giving cess to the British government. He used the wealth of the temple to pay the arrears of cess to the British government. Was so impoverished that it was difficult to raise resources from the government treasury to pay the cess. Therefore, Macaulay used the wealth of the temples to clear the arrears. Now, when India became independent, before the princely states merged into the Indian Union, there was a covenant between the government of India and the rulers of Travancore, which gave the administration powers of the Sri Padmanabha Swami temple to the Travancore royals. Then there was Devasam Board Act, which was passed by the assembly before the constitution was enforced or implemented or brought in force. The constitution came to force, as you know, in 1950. The constitution gives the freedom of worship to every religion. When this constitutional right is given to every religion, why the Hindus alone are denied of that? That is the moot question which is now under the consideration of the Supreme Court. Whatever act was passed prior to the constitution should play a subservient role to the constitution. That is an established principle. The constitution overrides all other acts, or there cannot be any act which is ultra vires of the constitution. In that case, isn't it unconstitutional? People are asking, isn't it unconstitutional for governments to keep control over the places of worship, the temples which belong to the Hindus? This is a square issue, squarely drawn. And now, the ethical part of it. Even in the preamble to the Constitution of India, it is stated that the nation stands for equality. Where is religious equality when the temples of the Hindus are taken over by the government? And worse than that, the income which is derived from the temples is used for all kinds of purposes other than those related to the temples. Who elects the members of the Devasam board in the state of Kerala, for instance? It is the Hindu members of the Council of Ministers and the Hindu members of the Legislative Assembly. They need not be believers. They need only be Hindus. There are instances where non-believers have become presidents of the Devasam board. And the Devasam board is considered to be an independent body, autonomous body. But it has never been autonomous except in name. That has been playing, the Devasam boards were playing a role as a stooges of the government of the times. Recently, in the case of Shabarimala, government arm-twisted the Devasam board to play the dirty game. It is true, everybody respects the Supreme Court orders. Certainly, the orders of the Apex Court are to be implemented in letter and spirit. But in the guise of implementing the Supreme Court order, what the government of Kerala did is to give police protection to two women who were egged on by the government to question the sanctity of the rituals and the sentiments of the devotees and go to the temple Sannidhanam. This is a blatant misuse of the Devasam board, which is meant to protect the interests of the Devasam, that is God's place. The wile and guile of the Devasam board has come to the fore. The feelings of the devotees have been hurt. Now, when we come to the foreign countries, for instance, religion has always been used by the ruling class for its advantage. Look at the Church of England. Church was ruled by the Pontiff of Rome, the Pope. King Henry VIII, he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn and he wanted a divorce. The divorce was not granted by the Pope. Therefore, for political reasons or personal reasons, for carnal reasons, Henry VIII formed the Church of England and anointed the king as the head of the church. Both temporal and spiritual powers all rolled into one for political exigencies. The same is the case with the Devasam board. Temporal and political power, spiritual and political power is sought to be rolled into one, that is the political leaders. This is unfair. This is a travesty of justice. That is what has provoked the Hindu community in the case of Devasam boards controlling the temples of the state.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, which was recorded and you have sent, but we will be waiting for you to join live. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Professor Architect B.R. Ajit. Professor Architect B.R. Ajit is the Chairman and Director of Asian School of Architecture and Design Innovation, ASADI. He is the past District Governor, Rotary International 3201. In 1977, he graduated as an architect from Madras School of Architecture and Planning. He is the proprietor of architectural firm Messrs. Ajit Associates, Cochin. His projects include multinational corporates, offices, hospitals, universities, government and semi-government projects, etc. He is the consultant architect to various prestigious organizations. In 2020, Ajit Associates Architectural Consultants Private Limited was awarded the Best Architectural Firm of the Year. Member of the Kendra, he is the member of the Kendra Managing Committee of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Kochi Kendra. He is member of the Managing Committee of Kendriya Vidyalaya, Ernakulam, Professor Emeritus at McGann's Uchi School of Architecture. He was visiting professor at various architecture colleges in South India. He is the chairman of Kerala chapter of Indian Green Building Council since January 2009. He is the chairman for the National Committee for the Green Interior Rating and National Chairman for Green Resort Rating System. He is a member of Advisory Committee to develop strategies and guide IGBC in implementation of Green Education Program. He is the chairman of the Indian Institute of Architecture, IIA, Kerala chapter from 2015. He is the executive committee member of IIA National Council. Mr. Ajit was the only architect member of the joint Indo-Singapore mission to the Tianjin Eco Smart City in China. He is the resource person and expert architect to Bureau of Energy Efficiency Department of Power, Government of India, and also advisor to the State Planning Board for Sustainable Buildings. He is the chairman of Sabdham Society for Appreciation and Basic Development of Art Media. He is the chairman and chief editor of a popular architecture magazine, B for Building. In December 2020, the Ernakulam Kshetra Kishma Samiti conferred upon architect B.R. Ajit the title of Ernakulam Seva Kshetra Asthana Vastu Kala Shilpi in appreciation for the various projects he had done for the Ernakulam temple. Mr. Ajit has been conferred with the title of honorary professor by the Academic Union Oxford at Oxford, UK in 2019. In 2018, he was conferred the Lifetime Business Achievement Award 2018 by Business Deepika. He is also the proud recipient of the prestigious Mahatma Gandhi Samman organized by the NRI Welfare Society of India. In 2015, he was bestowed with one of the world's premium awards, namely the Macmillan Woods Global Award. He has been accorded the Global Innovative Personality Award. He is also a recipient of Rajiv Gandhi National Unity Award for 1994. Welcome, Professor Architect Ajit on our show. Now, Architect Ajit, you have already heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, has spoken. Now, we would like to know from you, your views on the is government hijacking Hindu temples. Professor Architect Ajit, please.
Namaste. Thank you, Mr. Lal, for giving me this opportunity to be present on this debate or discussion that you're having now. Professor Sri Dr. Ananda Bose is a very good friend of mine for the last 30, 40 years or more, Mr. Nambiar, and all the people who are listening to this program. Actually, I thought myself that I should go into the history of this Devasam board in Kerala. Anyway, it has been covered very well by Dr. Ananda Bose, that as you said that, actually the Devasam board history actually goes back to 1815. 1815 is when actually there was some concept came, where at that time 1,200 small temples and 200 major temples were taken over by Maharaja of Travancore. But Maharaja had very great intention.
We have lost you, Mr. Ajit. I think your net is weak. So please get your net proper, or change the net, or see to it that no other device is working on the same network. Meanwhile, once you will rectify, I would like to go to my next guest, and he is Mr. PKG Nambiar. Mr. PKG Nambiar is a marketing strategist and political analyst. He is the managing director and CEO of Flex Communications. He is the chairman, B Square Group. Armed with over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and a political analyst, Mr. PKD Nambiar is a name to reckon within the industry. He is also renowned as a startup, turnaround, and growth specialist in the corporate sector. Furthermore, he is a sharp communication strategist for the SME sector. So please just bear with us. Armed with over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and political analyst, Mr. PKD Nambiar is a name to reckon with in the industry. He is also renowned as a startup, turnaround, and growth specialist in the corporate sector. Furthermore, he is a sharp communication strategist for the SME sector. He has addressed various prominent political debates, forums, colleges, and corporate across the country. Mr. Nambiar shares his valuable opinions on political, social, and business issues, and has appeared on numerous news channels, including NDTV 24/7, CNN News 18, News X, Times Now, CNBC, India News, India Ahead, etc., etc. Some of his well-known programs include New Age Leadership, The Brand You Too Can Be an Entrepreneur. His expertise lies in strategic planning and brand building. He excels in the whole gamut of marketing and 360-degree advertising functional parameters. With the vision to deliver excellence in every chosen undertaking, Mr. Nambiar is hands-on in all aspects of advertising, planning, management of ATL, BTL, and online advertising. Being the professional marketing strategist, he works with the marketing team members to assure the accurately execution of the high-quality marketing strategies within the defined time frame. He is a powerful political strategist committed to delivering sincere political conversation in the major news channel debates and discussion, as well as taking a defined lead in making Indian youth aware of relevant political affairs. Being a motivational speaker, he believes that Indian youth has got the immense potential to transform the downfall scenario of our country into a noticeable one by making great endeavors that will play a crucial role in the growth of the nation in every aspect. When India calls itself a young nation, youth in India should not be left unexplored. His consistent effort in bringing the fruitful voices of youth is implementing a change as well as helping to fill this void, contributing meaningful in the future of our nation. Welcome, Mr. PKD Nambiar on our show. Yes, Mr. Nambiar, you have already heard Dr. Bose. Now we would like to know from you your views. Is government hijacking Hindu temples? Mr. PKD Nambiar, please. Oh, please unmute, Mr. Nambiar.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for the wonderful introduction, and respected Dr. Bose and respected Professor Ajit. Both are veterans in their own field in every possible way. I may be much, much junior to all of you who are sitting in this panel. And but it's a pleasure to share in the company of all of such veterans. This is a topic which is very, very close to my heart. Maybe, I don't know why we are even discussing this topic, as is the government has already hijacked this. Hijacking is the wrong word. In my opinion, the government has already hijacked the Hindu temples. We say we are a 5,000 or a 6,000 or a 7,000 years of old civilization. We say that India is not just India, it is Bharat, which has got a history which is not been recorded, unrecorded, which has got every kind of an epics, which will be talking about the life, death, moksha, everything related to life in such a sincere way, and given one by one, generation to generation. That is a kind of a culture which we belong to. And I feel being a Hindu, being a Hindu is not a privilege in a country like India. That is the apathy of the reason why we all have to discuss that is the temples have been hijacked by the government or not. Why almost 85 crore Hindus in this country is not in a state to control their own belief system or their institutional base of a religion that is called as temples. I seriously don't understand even the very fundamental question that why the Hindus can't manage their own belief system and their temples, wherein the others, whether it is an Islam, whether it is a churches, can be managed by the respective Christians and Muslims. Is the Hindus in this country do not even have that much of a capability to handle their own belief system? Is the temples in this country is all being created after the Mughals have come to India? Is the temples in this whole country is being created after the Britishers have come to India? Is the temples in this country, all the 2 million or 3 million temples in this country is being created after the government, the Jawaharlal Nehru became the Prime Minister of this country? No. Most of the temples in the south of India, whether it is in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala, even in the Kedarnath, we don't even really know the exact, the factual record, how many years old these temples are. When my temples have been there from the last 4,000, 5,000 years, when my Ramayana and Mahabharata, when we don't even know the exact proof of when it was originated. That kind of an old civilization is Hinduism. Hindu as a religion is age old as the human civilization in this universe. And today I need to be told by the Supreme Court of India or some politicians sitting who don't even believe in any kind of religion or in God have to tell me that Hindus are incapable of handling their own place of worship that is called as temples. It's a shameful thing for every proud Hindu in this country. I'm fortunate that this is a topic. I know that in the 1960s, 1950s, as early as 1950s in Calicut, I was told that the great Kelapati has taken up this topic and even fought a lot of, there was a movement in that particular time. I'm very fortunate with the fact that this topic now has been taken up by me and my great friend, the former CBI director, Mr. M. Nageshwar Rao. That is the same thing which has now been taken up by everybody. Even we went and presented this case with Jaggi Vasudev, the Sadguru, and etc. Now it is, we have written almost in every newspapers, big articles. The reason is only one thing. We all say that we believe in our constitution and the constitution of India is our guiding force. But when it comes to Hindu, the constitution is also having a double standard. We say that we are a secular country, but where is the secularism when it comes to practicing the Hindu dharma? Even if Hindu wanted to practice the Hindu dharma, it is not there with him. Someone else will decide the fate of his belief system. The only purpose of handling Hindu temples by the government is simple: to break the Hindu belief system completely, slowly, with a slow poisoning, demolish the entire culture of us. Now, who fund for it? Who is behind it? I am no one to discuss that particular stuff. I don't even know. But then there is definitely a conspiracy from the last thousands of years, which is going on, but not anymore. I believe the Hindus of today are much more knowledgeable. They are much more powerful. They will be able to regain their belief system, their institutional base. जैसे एक हिंदी में कहावत है, अगर रीढ़ का हड्डी अगर तोड़ेगा तो बंदा खत्म हो जाता है या वो उठ नहीं सकता. अब हिंदुइज्म का और हर रिलीजन का रीढ़ का हड्डी क्या होता है? रीढ़ का हड्डी होता है सर टेम्पल्स. हर किसी चीज का घर मतलब एक इंस्टीट्यूशनल बेस होता है एक फैमिली का. In the same way, the institutional base of our religions have been temples. And Hindu temples have never been just a place of worship. Hindu temples have been the one which has created the cultural phenomena, cultural fabric, which we practice from the last so many thousands of years in this country has been given by the Hindu temples from the day one. You can find the folklores, our culture, our all kind of our writings, our dance forms, our food habits. Even there used to be a temple economy in this country. But suddenly, most of the lands and the wealth of this country used to be once upon a time belongs to the temples of this country. And today, everything the government want that to be with them. Why? If it is a secular country, why not handle the same spirit? Why not the same love and affection for the Hindu temples? Why they don't have it for the churches and the gurudwaras and as well as for the mosques in this country? Why? There is a reason. Hindus have always been treated as a soft target. Hindus have always been treated in this country as a second-class citizen because उसका कोई इंस्टीट्यूशनल बेस ही नहीं है. अगर हिंदू को खत्म करना है, एक पहला तरीका यह है कि उसकी रीढ़ का हड्डी जिसको हम कहते हैं टेम्पल, उसको तोड़ दो, उसको मरोड़ दो, उसको खत्म कर दो. जब उसको खत्म करेगा तो हिंदू खत्म हो जाएगा. बट लेकिन मैं एक बात जरूर कह सकता हूं, इस देश में हिंदू को कोई भी, चाहे वो कोई भी गवर्नमेंट टेम्पल्स लेने से या उनकी हिंदू टेम्पल्स की जो जितना भी वेल्थ है उसको अपनाने से हिंदू और हिंदू संस्कृति खत्म नहीं हो सकता. There is a conspiracy continuously which has been running in this in the name of secularism, and the secularism in India needs to be only practiced by one community, that is called as Hindus. Imagine a religion which has even given birth to multiple other religion, only religion which has given birth to multiple religions, like Sikhism, like Jainism, like Buddhism. It has all derived out of Hinduism, but still the Hindu in this country needs to discuss in 2021 on a webinar or a TV channel. We have to debate the very fact that we need to have our temples back. What is the importance of a temple for a Hindu? Is it only just for praying? Is it only just to practice his religious practices? No, because temples have been a part of our culture. It was not just a part of our spirituality, but it was much beyond that for Indians. I feel ashamed when people keep telling that Hindus will not be able to handle their spiritual places, so the government needs to come in place. Why can't we handle our temples? I don't understand. Is Hindus in this country is so incapable to handle their own places of worship? If a Muslim or if a Christian can manage their own religious places, can't a Hindu manage it? I believe this conspiracy needs to end. Next time onwards, I request Mr. Goel to change the topic. The Hindu temples have already been hijacked. Not from today. If I am sitting in Delhi, imagine in Delhi, which is considered as more than 5,000, it's just 100 kilometers from here is the Lord Krishna was born in the place Mathura. This is supposed to be the Indraprastha where the Pandavas ruled. This is the same place, even in the great battle, even the Maharaja Prithviraj Chauhan was also fought. But how many temples in this particular place? I live in the Delhi, which is a buried place wherein I can only see minars. I am not against it. The Hindus have been brutally attacked all the time, but not anymore. Not anymore. I think there is an awakening which is taking place. This is one of the best things to happen right now. And Hindu temples should be given to Hindus. Now, nobody, including the Supreme Court of India, nobody, including no politicians in this country, no, whether it is a communist government or a Congress government, even a BJP government, have no power to count exactly the capability of every Hindu, and nobody can question the mind and the capability of the Hindus, whether they can manage their places of worship or not. I think you have taken up this topic. It's a wonderful move. And we have, I think this may not be the right time, that both me and Mr. Rageshwar Rao put together, we have even drafted a bill, which we expect all the state governments in this country. We don't want to talk about only just Kerala, because even in the Uttarakhand, all the main places of worship, which is considered as the Devbhumi, if it is one in the down south of in Kerala, if it is called as God's own country, even in the Uttarakhand, it is called as a Devbhumi. All our Char Dhams has been taken over by the government. So I think there is a conspiracy, irrespective of which government is in power. They all wanted to have a pie of the wealth of Hindu temples. But I am challenging. If any government in this country have got the guts, do the same application. If you say that you are a secular government, show the power to take over the religious places of other religions too in the same spirit. If not, you are not only just a secular, you are demeaning the belief system of Hindus. You are demeaning every proud Hindu of this country. I think the time has come to call every Hindu to awaken and tell each government that not anymore. We are capable of managing our institutional base, which is called as temples. We know how to manage the religious activities of our temple. We do not require any government to manage it. If we fail, there are constitutional framework which is written in this thing, then the government can come in just like any other religion. We don't want any special privilege in this country, but we need to have equality as a religion. We don't want anything special, but equality. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nambiar. And you have reminded me about Mathura. I belongs to Mathura, and I can say proudly that Mathura temples are still managed by the private trust, the Hindus devotees. It is not a single temple has still gone with the Lord Krishna's blessings. They are still with the private trust. Thank you very much, Mr. Nambiar, for giving you such a forceful and powerful opening remarks. I'm sure definitely I would have changed the topic, but because it is in the process, I will explain why it is hijacking next. When I will come to the next round, I am going to ask the question and I will explain why I have put the hijacking, not hijacked, because it is still in the process. Thank you very much, Mr. Nambiar. Going straight to Professor Ajit, please go ahead. You have already heard Mr. Nambiar.
I think first of all, I should congratulate Nambiar for having gone deep into the subject. and also for the great initiative you have taken along with Mr. Nageshwar Rao for bringing back the temples to the Hindus, the real honors of that. See, I would like to say here from where I left earlier, actually, after Maharaja formed the Devaswam, it's not as a boredom, there was some management thing. What happened was actually, it was in 1948 when Indian accession was going on, by the government of India, when all the cities, all the states, all the small states, princely states, everywhere joined back to the Indian country. At that time, Mr. V.P. Menon, who came to Kerala, who came and met the Travancore Maharaja and said, please be part of India and I would like to accession act has to come. So he said, okay, no problem. I'm ready for anything and everything. But only thing is 2 covenants has to be included in that. One covenant is that the Padmapuram temple has to be managed by the royalty. Number 2, he said was that whatever happens, I would like to ensure that all the temples are safe. That is 1,200 poor temples and 200 rich temples. You should ensure that all these temples are given equal power, equal support, and he formed what he called as the first Devaswam board, if you can talk about. And this Devaswam board, when he started, and before the Republic formed in 1950, it was included, all these covenants were included in that. Because these covenants were included in that, in fact, the first members of the board, the people like Mr. Nambiar may know, but outside people may not know, there are 2 great cultural leaders of Kerala. One was Mannathu Patnavan, and other culture leader was R. Shankar. These 2 people were the first members of the board. Can you imagine? No political affiliation. But 1950, when he got the Republic, became the Republic of India, what happened was in the background of it, the new government, the first politically elected government in Kerala, they changed the entire concept of the original Devaswam. And when there was no political intervention in the original Devaswam Act, they brought in a change saying that it will be politically managed. What happened politically managed? When it came to be known as a political management, what happened was they said it is the Hindu members of our legislative and also the Hindu cabinet ministers of the cabinet who will select 2 members of the board. But unfortunately, what happened was they forgot and missed a very, very important point when they said, this is what I would like to say here. Because they have said that in fact, this is something I think Mr. Nambiar and other people, as far as Kerala is concerned, I would request this is a very important thing which they have missed out in the final amendment also. They have said those who profess Hindu religion can only become member. So I went into the Merriam's dictionary of what is profess. As per the Merriam dictionary, profess means to receive formally into a religious community following the solid novitiate. Novitiate means it is a initiated apprentice. Means they cannot be just because Hindus. This has to be a initiated apprentice that is novitiated by accepting of the required vows. This means simply just by being a Hindu by birth, he can't be a member. This is something which has been missed out, even though added all of things by the government who want to take over. Now, what is ailing this present system? The present system which is ailing most important is because of political intervention. Because politically, all the people who are there, all the politicians, whether it is Congress or whether it is communist or whoever it is, all these politicians want to have in the pie, part of the pie. What do they want? The most important thing is a political power, which they can easily display through the temples. Because temples are the center of activity for Hindus for so many thousands of years. Number 2, they want to take advantage by appointments. Every year, you won't believe hundreds of people are appointed into Devaswams, which they don't need anymore. So all these are political people. All these people are appointed, have got political godfathers. So they cannot be touched. They even form the unions, political unions within that. Recently, 1 month back, I read there was an online application, this thing, for taking 70 people for the small temple like Devaswam, Guruvayur Devaswam. 70 people. And all these 70 people, I'm sure, would have been appointed purely on a political basis. So what happens, politics is there, and they do not bother about anybody else, and they are not at all involved or concerned about this thing. They have no political interest in this. So first of all, the political interventions has to completely stop. I would also like to tell you here, before I finish, a very important point which I thought we should discuss here. I was looking into what you call as a how can we change it? How can we change the system? Most important thing is politics has to be out. So I was looking at the whole thing, and one more thing I would like to tell you. Actually, the Devasam has got 80 lakhs, which has been allotted, supposed to have been allotted for making religious studies in all these temples. Few years back itself, a lot of people took up this matter, but the Devasam was not interested. So that money is being diverted elsewhere. 2 months back, last year, what happened was the Guruvayur Devasam, it diverted 5 crores, gave to the government of Kerala for meeting its problem because of the floods and activities, things like that. And High Court came out down with a very heavy this thing on that. So what happened? Entire thing today is happening simply because of political. How can you do it? I think we have to see. I also worked out a small SWOT analysis of how to take over these temples by the system. So when you talk the strength of today, if you're really the strength of the Hindu community today, I would say this is one of the most apt time to do that. Why? Because earlier, I'm telling you, because the Macaulay education and things like that, earlier, the entire Hindu community, especially the educated community of Hindus, were disunited. They were never interested to come together. They were not bothered about what happy temples. But it has changed, especially among young people. Things have changed. And a lot of people are now interested. They are aware of the system, aware of the problems, aware of the temples being destroyed, aware of politicalization of temples. All this happened. And these young people are real strength today, who will surely take this our movement to take over the temples. They will be surely part of it. They will, in fact, lead from the front. This is very important. Another very important thing, which I would say as strength, is that because the ladies, the women folk in Kerala, have been completely, I would like to tell only about Kerala because that is where I stay, and that is where this issue is very high because of the recent misadventure of the government of Kerala in bringing in ladies to the temples. Actually, the entire women folk of the entire Kerala Hindus were never involved in politics all this time. They were not interested in any of this. But luckily, I would say it was a blessing in disguise when this government tried to have a misadventure of bringing these ladies into the temples. So bringing ladies into temple, they have so wounded mentally, and they will also be in the forefront if you take up some. But there are some weaknesses I would like to tell you here. The weaknesses are that, unlike the other communities, we do not have a hierarchical system of Hindu leadership. We do not have. See, unlike you have a bishop or you have a mullah and all those people, we do not have any such a hierarchical system. That's a major weakness of the system, we would say. Another thing is the management, the management under consolidated body. For this reason, it's very difficult to happen. Management on a consolidated level. Number 3 is a proliferation of caste and subcaste and sub-religious caste and difficulties and various things. I think that is a very important thing, which is again is difficult task to get over. So I would also like to come in with some other problem. Let me see, for example, Guruvayur, as rightly said earlier, in 1975, the Guruvayur Act was brought in. They had actually done a beautiful thing originally. They had the Maharaja, the king of Malabar, the Samudri Raja, as a permanent member of the committee. They also had the honor, they call it the Uraimas, the honor of the temple, original order of Nambudris, that family, Mallisheri family was there. Any one person from Mallisheri family will be always there in the committee. Number 3, also the persons who is looking after that, the Tandri of the temple. Every Tandri temple has got a Tandri. The Tandri of the temple is a member. Originally, it had only one politically nominated member, but now, unfortunately, there are seven of them now. So totally 7 plus 3, 10 people. So that should be changed. So what is the opportunities? Now, if you say the opportunities, I would say the opportunities are there. The favorable situation and good valuables, any viable, because of the favorable situation I was talking about, any viable proposal, any viable solution will be accepted by any government. They cannot say no. They cannot just say, we cannot do it. That's the thing which is advantage. What is the opportunity? I would like to say, we have to have what I call decentralized system of managing these temples. What I call is decentralized system. Every temple should be managed by itself. It should have in the board of every temple, whether it is big temple, whether it's some temple, you should have most importantly somebody from the owners. They call it Uraimas. Every temple Uraimas are still there. All the 60 to 70% of the property in Kerala, if you want to go register that property, you will see that it's all because of the Uraimas property. So Uraimas can be there. The ownership of the property, number of the owners will be there. Number two, the Tantri of this thing will be there. Very importantly, Tantri has to be an important participant in it. Then there are what we call as Karaimas. Karaimas are people who manage the property. So these people should be there. Only one member should be selected from outside. So each temple will be separately managed. And this temple, we have got 4,200 temples in Kerala, in Travancore alone, in Travancore district. Similarly, in Malabar Devasam, they have got more than about 7,000 temples. So if you put all these temples about, all this together should form what we call as a Mahasabha. A Mahasabha of all these temples should be called. And this Mahasabha should meet once a year. And one may meet once a year, then from this Mahasabha, they can select not somebody within, from outside, a social leader, a person, like I said earlier, like Mannatha Patnapan, people like that, who is respected, accepted by everybody. He should be a member of this thing. Like the two people can be selected. One person should be a person from what we call as a person from this religious community. He should be there. And that person will manage, they'll be the president and member of the committee. And also one more person we can have from the government. That is only their intervention will be only where they should be allowed to do what we call as wherever there's a financial point, they can have an auditing, nothing more, nothing less. They should be, and they should be stopping. There is another for next 10 years. They should stop taking any new people as staff members. If you keep taking people, the present numbers which you have, now I think all the Devasam put is about 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 people are there working in Devasams. No more addition to that, so that it becomes viable, workable, and economical to manage. So no more people, they should put it, no more people will be taken after 10 years when many people retire, and then slowly people can be brought in only in case it is necessary. And number 4, but then there is a threat. I was talking about, I was talking about our strength and weaknesses and opportunities, but there are some threats. What is the threat? Because the political parties have been enjoying the fruit of Devasam Board in the form of economical advantage, in the form of financial advantage, in the form of spiritual power, they want to continue it. So these political parties shall never permit this to happen. They will have so many of us, what you call like whisper campaigns. They may come out on this thing against such act to demolish the Devasam Act. So this is what will happen. So I think we should conceive, we should sort of, we should come to this thing in a very, very phased manner, so that we shall have to demolish and make use of the present situation. The present situation is extremely good. It was actually, I don't think in Kerala at least there will be a better situation than, and even nationally, because a Ram Mandir issue, even nationally probably there will be a great possibility of this movement. So I wish Mr. Nambiar and Nagesh Rao and of course all the other people involved in this to take up this, and we are there as a big force behind you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Architect Ajit, for giving your views. Now, again, I am going to Dr. Bose. When I asked him, because he's not yet joined, but when I asked him today morning, and I asked him because he has traveled extensively and he has seen the other in other countries also. How you say that only in India, what about the other countries? As well as I asked what are the solutions. So what reply he has given, I would like to just play that reply to you all again. Just one moment, please.
In the Soviet Union, after Lenin took over, after the October Revolution, there was a spate of attacks over the bishops and the priests. Either physically, they were mauled, put in prison, and during the reign of Nikita Khrushchev, even a father trying to indoctrinate the son into religion was considered to be a punishable offense. Similarly, there are many instances where government took over religion and religious institutions for their political gains. During the time of Henry VII, who started the Tudor dynasty. He found immense wealth and power accumulated in the monasteries. It was causing a lot of political challenge to the king. He cooked up various stories and abolished the monasteries. Dissolution of monasteries during Henry VII's time. He took over the property of the monasteries and distributed it among the middle class so that they will never allow the church or the monasteries to come back. Queen Mary tried to undo it, but she could not find any success. We see there are many instances in world history where the government had an eye on the religious institutions. When they found that the religious institutions were posing a threat to them or had immense wealth upon which they would lay hands upon for their own benefit. This is what has happened in India as well. Now, there are many litigations about it. In the case of Chidambaram temple, the court is on record that the government has no business in the administration of the temples. If there is any maladministration, government can step in for a short while and put in place some form of transition management system. The Devasam boards in Kerala were created as per the covenant which came into force, the covenant which was signed between the government of India and the governments of Travancore and Cochin. There are already 5 Devasams in Kerala. The Travancore, Malabar, Guruvayur, Kochi and Kudalmanikam. Among them, they manage 3,000 temples in the state. And they account for an income of more than 1,000 crores every year. The BJP leader, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, has challenged the relevance of the Devasam board in the Supreme Court of India and has pleaded to abolish it. With a plea to dealing it from governmental control, the case is pending before the Supreme Court. There is a hue and cry in many parts of India to free the temples from the clutches of governmental control. More than 4 lakh temples, I repeat, 4 lakh temples are under the control of 15 state governments in India. There are 9 lakh temples all over the country. In Andhra Pradesh, 34,000 temples are under government control. The most important temple there is the renowned Tirupati temple. The donations which that temple receives come to 3,500 crores. Only 7% of it is used for the management of the temple. The rest is taken and is used for the disappointment of the devotees, looted by government for other purposes, including anti-Hindu purposes. They say that this is nothing better than what the Mughals did in destroying the temples and the British did in looting the temples. The democratic governments, and particularly they point finger at Jawaharlal Nehru, were responsible for this onslaught on the temples of India, their properties, and on the sentiments of the Hindu devotees. The issue is spiritual, the issue is ethnic, the issue is emotional, the issue is political. A way has to be found out for this. Some even say that the government taking control over temples is unconstitutional. The legal pundits say this is against the provisions of Article 14, 25 and 26 of the Constitution of India. The sociologists say that there should be equality among communities and religions. If the Muslims can run their mosques and institutions, and Christians their church and related institutions, why deny this right to the Hindus only is a question which is heard on the streets these days. We have to shift the chaff from the grain. Fundamentally, the issue is one of equality, which is enshrined in the Constitution of India. We, the people of India, having resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to ensure to all its citizens equality of status and of opportunity, continues the preamble to the Constitution. Now, the question is, where is this equality of status and of opportunity for the Hindus as far as the temple administration is concerned? Now, there are other onslaughts also. Here's a former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Prithviraj Chauhan. I had an opportunity to work with him at close quarters when he was in charge of atomic energy under Manmohan Singh. That apart. He has come with a revelation that the gold which is there in the temples can be taken for the reconstruction of India in the post-COVID days. Gold is given as an offering in the Hindu temples and Gurudwaras and temples of the Jains. So isn't it a mischievous statement to find up discontent among the Hindus, or is it a further more mischievous statement to placate certain other communities for political gain? The issues now, as we said, squarely drawn. An answer has to be given within the framework of the Constitution of India, within the legal proprieties, and also within the norms of social order and harmony. Why discriminate against the Hindus alone? Why should state interfere in religion at all? Jesus Christ said, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's." That is a prudent philosophy even today. It merits attention. Never ever mix politics with religion. It's a heady cocktail. Government should keep off religion. Similarly, religion should also keep off politics. That is the dividing line which will ensure peace and harmony and emotional integration in a pluralistic society like India. Anything which goes against it is mischievous, calculated, and will ultimately lead to the disintegration of this country and give rise to the arousal of vociferous tendencies which may force divisiveness in the country. Therefore, it's a matter of prime importance that we resolve this issue and resolve it at the earliest. There is only one solution to this problem which was created by successive governments for political reasons. And the one solution is abolish Devasam boards, release the temples to the Hindu devotees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. And Dr. Bose is with us now. Dr. Bose, we are waiting for you long, and now you have joined. Dr. Bose, I will just tell you that what has happened that according to Mr. Nambiar, he says the topic of today's discussion is wrong. It's not, it should not be hijacking, it should be hijacked. According to him, all governments, irrespective of the political parties, they have hijacked the Hindu temples, for which he and the ex-CBI director are doing their best to see to it that these temples should be free from the clutches of the government. Then Professor Architect Mr. Ajit, he says the problem with the Hindus are that they don't have a one uniform person, a united front where somebody who is a leader, like in Christians and Gurdwaras, etc. So these are the views, and both are of the same views very strongly that this Hindu temple should come out from the clutches of the government. Now, because you have joined, although I have played whatsoever you have sent, all the things, and they have all heard about you, but I just want to know one thing. Dr. Bose, you were in the government and you are still in the government. And if this government, if you is and this present government is at least the central government, and many of the state governments belongs to BJP, and the BJP stands for the Hindus, then why we are putting pressure and we are putting blame to others? Why not we start from those states or from those central government things, and see to it that those temples who comes under the purview of the BJP government should be free from the government clutches at all? Dr. Bose, please. Please unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for giving me this opportunity. Though towards the end of the discussions, I'm extremely happy to know that the stalwarts who are all here joined together to say that the government has already hijacked the temples and way has to be found out for that. I am one with them. In fact, I would even go to the extent of saying that the temples are under attack. Indian traditions are under attack. Our heritage is under attack. Hinduism is under attack. Let us call a spade a spade. There is enough which has been done against this religion. If I may quote something here, which is attributed to Jawaharlal Nehru, the so-called architect of India's destiny. He is said to have said, I am English by education. I am Muslim by culture. I am Hindu only by an accident. This is in circulation as a statement made by the so-called architect of India's destiny. Now, if this is the basis on which India's policies were made, there is no wonder the temples were taken over by the government. 15 state governments have appropriated themselves more than 4 lakh temples in the country. And the riches which are coming from that, the properties were all seized or taken over, annexed by the governments. This is nothing better than what King Henry VII did, abolition of the monasteries. History is repeating itself. There is a cultural invasion against India. I see this as a cultural invasion against India, this great traditional culture. Let's not forget that Arnold Toynbee is on record. He said the chapter that has a European origin should have an Indian ending. He wants the Indian values to rule the world. That state has come. That scenario has come. India's soft power, its tradition, its culture, its heritage, that has ruled the world. That soft power is something which requires the temples and the cultural institutions attached to it should come to the devotees. This cultural invasion has to end. Now, what do we do for this? Your specific and pointed question. Government, yes, we don't want government to do this. We want people's movement to unseat those 15 state governments which have appropriated the temples through the Devasam boards or through the other machinations. Yes, the Hinduism, the inner strength of the Hindu community has to be aroused. I remember what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa once said. There was a snake which was biting all people. Once a sadhu comes that way, the snake said, everybody hates me. Why? What do I do for this? And the sadhu said, you just do one thing. You stop biting people. He agreed. After 6 months, the sadhu comes back. This snake can't even move. It is lying on the roadside. He said, what happened to you? See, you asked me not to bite. So people are all, even children are throwing stones at me. They are pelting stones at me, taking a stick and beating me black and blue. This is what happened to me. And the sadhu said, I asked you not to bite. I did not ask you not to hiss. Yes, we need not bite, but we should hiss. 100 crores of people hissing is enough. I don't think we have an enemy whom we cannot vanquish. We do not want the support of any government. What we want government is government's business. Is government not business? Government business is not running temples. Let them run the democratic institutions. Let them keep off temple. That's why, as Jesus Christ said, yes, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's. This has now come as a people's movement. There is no force on earth which can resist the determined attempts by 100 crores of determined people, the Hindus, who will be holding their culture and their soft power, which the whole world is willing to accept. No, there should be an end to this. I see this as an attempt of the Break India Brigade, as a Tukra brigade. This cannot go on forever. The new generation has been aroused and the people's power is behind it. Certainly, the devotees will see that the temples will certainly come back to them and the devotees will rule. Yes, government has no business in religion. It's a very heady cocktail when politics invades religion, the result is chaos. When religion invades politics, the result is refinement. But now it is the other way around. Therefore, as they say, the British military says, the difficult we achieve immediately. The difficult we achieve immediately. The impossible, Mr. Goel, the impossible may take a little time. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. Because of the paucity of time, I cannot summarize what you have said. And now I am going back to Professor Architect Ajit. Please unmute yourself. Time is very short. I want only 1 minute answer from you. Professor Ajit, please unmute yourself. My question to you is, you have rightly said there is no one person, a Dharam Guru of Hindus, like Vatican City Pope, like Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee of the Gurudwara. Why not? When Hindus are coming out and when like Mr. Nambiar is moving and everyone is moving, why not all the Hindus organize themselves and select one person only from themselves, a devotee, who will lead the movement, what is required today, and who will be overseeing all the temples of India. What you say about this? 1 minute, please. Yes, please.
First of all, good morning to Dr. Ananda Bose. We know each other for the last 30, 40 years. Good morning, and nice to hear your words. You have been always very enlightening. I think it's a very important thing we should understand. See, even if you look from the history of India, you see all these princely states are fighting each other. They never stood together. So basically, the togetherness of Hindus is very difficult to happen. And to select one person from the entire thing, that is not possible. Number one, we never had a hierarchical system of Hindu management, like what they have in Christianity and other religions. You know, they have the, rightly, they have the Vatican, they have the bishops. There's so many people coming down the front. We don't have that. So what happens is, that is why he suggested, instead of that, we create what he called separate, each temple has to be separately managed with absolutely no intervention of this thing. But they should have a Hindu Mahasabha. Hindu Mahasabha selects, not for more than 1 year, they should have 2 members. And this, one of them will become president. And this president will be there. That's how I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Nambiar, you have told me that my topic should be hijacked, not hijacking. I am telling you why it's a hijacking. We all know about the Ram Mandir Trust. You know the composition of the Ram Mandir Trust? It is hijacking. Why not you are objecting right now that no government representative should be there? Shall I read to you? One central government representative of the rank of a joint secretary. Then one representative from the state government, IAS officer and one district magistrate. Do you think any trust can work if independently, if these 3 representatives are sitting from the government? No. This is called hijacking. Please, I am telling you, when you are doing, see to it that this Ram Mandir Trust, no, and funding, who has done the funding? The Hindu devotees across the board has put the money to build, who is far more than what was the project. And then why the government representatives are supposed to sit there? They are not supposed to sit there. DM is sitting, IS officers, joint secretaries. This is why I put that 1 minute answer to this. Mr. Nambiar, please.
I think, Mr. Goel, you very well said that. I am of the same opinion that there should not be any of such kind of an interference from any place. Even Supreme Court have nothing to do with my religion and my religious practices. He has got a constitution. I have my belief system. So I'm with you on that. But in the meantime, with regard to the Ram Janmabhoomi, this thing, it is a new supreme with its age-old fight. Now we coming into a conclusion. Let the mandir be made. Let me tell you one thing. Government is not making the Ram Mandir. The Ram Mandir is made by the Ram Bhakts across the country. You have seen that in 1 month, 2,500 crore rupees have been accumulated, and a great Ram Mandir. The government is not even designing the Ram Mandir. Maybe it is just a matter of time that will also come out. But having said that, I just want a quick 1 minute. The whole idea is that there is a kind of many people in many forums are discussing that well, Hindus are very divided. Will they be able to manage it? My only one question is that is India or is Bharat is made after the Mughals came to India? Have they discovered India? Is the Britishers have discovered India? Is the most of the temples, I mean, most of us, I mean, at least me and Anand Bose and three of us, we are all from Kerala. We have temples as old as 5,000 years, or none of us know what is the real history and the ages of these temples. How have these temples have been sustained over the last 2,000, 3,000 years? Nobody knows. Who was the manager? Who was the president? Who was the secretary? Why are you just questioning the ability of Hindus in this country? Why are you, when you say this, you are questioning yourself, Mr. Goel. When you are asking this, you are questioning Mr. Bose. You are questioning my ability. You are questioning the ability of 85 or 100 crore Hindus across the world. I think ये 100 करोड़ में ये 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 लोग नहीं मिलेगा हर मंदिर को संभालने के लिए, या हजारों लोग नहीं मिलेगा. तो क्या ये हिंदू का जो टेम्पल आज क्या है, पिनराई विजयन का या नरेंद्र मोदी का गवर्नमेंट ने पैसा देके चल रहा है? उधर दिया कैसे जलता है? हिंदू पैसा देता है, और ना कि कोई गवर्नमेंट नहीं पैसा देता उधर दिया जलाने के लिए. उधर के पंडित को कोई पैसा नहीं देता, हिंदू पैसा देता है. तो फिर क्या अगर मैं पैसा देके अगर मेरी भगवान का मेरा आस्था के ऊपर काम कर सकता हूँ? Why do I need a government to oversee my religious practice?
Thank you, Mr. Nambiar, paucity of the time. So today you have seen that today's topic, which is a very, very hot and relevant topic, and what our panelist has mentioned very, very clearly, why the government, when government is offloading everywhere, whether it's airport or hotels or every institutions, why they are just want to secure and to take out you can say the milking the cow that is Hindus, temples. This is unfair according to all our panelists and viewers. I'm leaving to you whatsoever you have heard. You have to take a decision. Thank you very much to you all. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow our topic is media conference with Lal Goel, Kerala elections. Yes, now the election seasons are there. So tomorrow our topic is Kerala election, and our panelists are Dr. P.K. Abraham, former managing editor and managing director, Rashtriya Deepika Limited, Kottayam, Kerala. We have Professor Dr. Oman Mehman, former Dean, Napier School of Management, LP, CEO, Ellen and Harbour, Kottayam. Mr. Arun Lakshman, Director, Center for Policy and Development Studies, former officer on special duty, Minister of State for Law and Justice, Trivandrum. See, please tune in tomorrow for media conference, Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you very much, Professor Architect, Mr. Ajit. And thank you very much, Mr. P.K. Dinambia, for giving such a vibrant and knowledgeable media conference, your views and thoughts. I'm sure all our viewers are very much enriched and enlightened with today's program. Thank you very much. Thank you all.